once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered,
David!
tapping at my chamber door. Only
David!
this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember. It was
David,
in the bleak
it's Alan.
December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly
David, open
I had
the
sought
door.
to from my boat surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here
This
forevermore.
isn't cool, man.
And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood
I can
repeating,
hear you talking.
"'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more."
All right, I'm breaking the door down.
Presently, my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly, your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping,
I can see you through the window.
tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door." Hey, Alan.
Hey,
Yeah?
I've been knocking for like 20 minutes, man.
Yeah, I had to get to the right dramatic point to open the door.
No, you don't.
Why not? Like,
It's rude, is what it is.
do you not, okay, listen, do you not see this atmosphere I've got set up? I've got the fire going in the hearth. I've got, like, big painting of my dead love hanging over it, and there's all these, like, half-dimmed lamps that I've thrown. Look at the purple curtain. Look at the purple curtains I've hung up. Look at the purple curtains. Aren't they nice?
I see. You have purple curtains. You have a painting of me for some reason.
So you didn't die.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, I was starting to think this was gonna work out, because, like, now I was excited for you to come in as, like, a spirit, or maybe, like, a bird that would be, like, give me some sort of ill omen or something, or tell to me about the futility of life and hoping that I might find you again in the afterlife or something. And
there was a bird out here. It got bored and left.
You know, that's a smart bird, probably, actually. Starting to realize that maybe doing this the Poe method wasn't ideal. Anyway, come in. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Come on in. Yeah. So, hey, by the way, the other thing I got going is over there is the, I got everything already rolling for UCA. Just wanted to set the mood, because you said you had something for me. Like something good, something literary.
I told you I'd be bringing some Poe to the table.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I literally set this up, and I was really trying to maintain an atmosphere here. I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm sorry. Do you want me to get you? Do you want me to get you a drink or something?
I'm fine. I have coffee.
Okay.
It's cold now, but
I mean, I got some brandy. I could put it in there, like,
I also do have this Amontillado.
Oh shit! This time of year?
Yeah. Go check in that closet. It's in there.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I don't see any Amontillado in here. Like, I just see a bunch of, like, there's a sign on the wall. It says,
See, if there are a way to continue, if this were the end of the episode, this would be a great bit. If I can step outside of the fiction for a moment.
Sure. Hey, I do appreciate that you were not actually willing to brick me into a wall at the beginning of the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to Undercooked Analysis.
I really did kind of mess this up, Co, because it's the poem specifically says it's in the bleak December, and it's February, and here in California it's pretty warm. So
it's finally starting to warm up. I keep getting snowed in over here.
Okay. That's
right. Sorry, everybody. David and I are not in the same room.
That makes me sad.
We are ejecting from the bit entirely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still looking at my purple curtains, though.
And he still does have a painting of me.
Yeah, I do, in fact, have a painting. I have two paintings of you. They were illustrated by Sade.
But if you weren't aware from all of that setup we did, we're going to be talking Poe today.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time we've discussed Poe in some capacity. At least that we've talked about Poe on Darkly Lit, but not really on Undercooked Analysis. And that it feels weird to do, which is why I was a little confused about this whole setup. Because I mean, Poe kind of helped get the ball rolling when it comes to a lot of our modern understanding of horror. And it's particularly mysteries as well. I mean, the guy helped inspire Arthur Conan Doyle to write Sherlock Holmes.
Poe has written some of my favorite short stories. Some personal favorites are La Gaia. Looking it up.
Okay,
right.
It's so good.
The I as in tide, so lie. The J as in jam. A as in about. Lygia. Yeah. Anyway, I like that one a lot. I've just never had to say it. I've never had to say it out loud.
That's fine. That's fine.
Love Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Oh yeah, classic.
Love The Pit and the Pendulum. Love The Cask of Amontillado.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not reading any of those today.
So we're not reading The Fall of the House of Usher?
We are not reading The Fall of the House of Usher.
Fuck.
No Mask of the Red Death.
No. Black Cat? Are we going to read
the Black Cat?
No.
Sorry. We aren't even reading The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar. I Googled Edgar Allan Poe's short stories ranked.
Oh.
And found a tier list someone on the internet made.
Oh, so we're just going to trust some random fool on the internet's opinion. Okay.
Just some rando on the internet. I don't even see a username for this list. We are skipping the S tier. We are skipping the A tier. We are skipping the B tier.
Wait.
We are going all the way down to the F tier.
It's Poe. Could there be an F tier?
Well, there is an F tier, and there are 4 stories in the F tier, according to some person. Some internet rando. And so now, we are going to read one of those stories.
All right. I'm bracing myself because if it's Poe, it can't be that bad. But then again, we said that about Bram Stoker, and look what happened.
Racism happened.
To be fair, I asked this off mic, but I have to reiterate on mic. One of those stories is not the Gold Bug, is it?
It is not.
Okay.
On this list, the Gold Bug is C tier.
Okay. The Gold Bug, in principle, is a C tier story that involves code breaking and pirates, but it's also very racist.
That'll happen with your old stories.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We've found that out a couple times now.
I mean, the guy was writing in the 1840s. What do you expect?
But I have now posted a link to the story we're going to be reading today.
King Pest. Interesting. Okay. PoeMuseum.org. This is promising. Oh, look at that art. Oh, that's cool. Ooh.
It is some cool art. I'm going to say already, this story has a subtitle, and boy, do I not like the subtitle.
King Pest the First, a tale containing an allegory.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Apparently we weren't going to be able to figure that out on our own.
Apparently not. Hey, this story can't be that bad. If this illustration has anything to do with what's actually happening in the story, look at those skeletons looming in the background. That's awesome.
That is.
The story better have skeletons.
It better have voyeur skeletons.
Voyeur skeletons watching what I think might be some kind of weird wrestling match.
Yeah, a bunch of weird looking people wrestling, and there's also other assorted bones around, and
casks and vases and bottles lying around. This is very weird. Okay, I'm ready.
I also again want to touch on a tale containing an allegory. It'd be like if I wrote a short story that was like, my day at the park. This bitch got a metaphor in it.
I mean, I understand why you grapple with metaphor. I mean, after all, we still don't know how you eating the gummy bear relates to the plight of the modern woman. So
it's true. It's entirely up to interpretation. I will not tell you why it's supposed to relate to that, but it does.
I mean, listen, it's undercooked analysis, and if there's one thing we believe firmly in undercooked reality, I suppose, is that reader response theory is the way to go. So we're doing that. We don't really take author intent into consideration most of the time. It's nice to have context. But in this case, we're going in blind. It's all reader response theory.
If you require any examples of us not taking author intent into account, just go to any single episode of us reading a Dr. Satan story. And
that's only a recent example.
I feel like it's our most... We straight up vocally disagree with the author at several points during Dr.
Yeah, we kind of tell Paul, no. We've decided it's like this now. That's because it's public domain, though. You know, when it's public domain, you do what you want with that shit. Yeah, hey, fun fact, friendly reminder, everybody, among the many things that are in the public domain right now is Bolero. Hey, future Maureen, can you just put Bolero in the background while we read for a little bit, since it's public domain?
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Even though it might not have anything to do with the story, it just feels like the right thing to do in celebration.
So this is an F-tier... according to some dude, some guy on the internet or girl, somebody on the internet, some rando,
some individual.
This is an F-tier. This is an F-tier Poe story.
Something they consider one of Poe's worst works, which is fascinating. Okay, so we're gonna find out if that's true, because I am not familiar with this story.
Nor am I, actually. I mean, I at some point in high school read one of the Barnes and Noble complete works of Poe books. But I feel like I got some stuff I really liked out of it and a bunch of shit I just straight up don't remember.
I get that. How do we begin?
Well, I'll start us off with this quote.
Okay.
Again, it's King Pest the First, a tale containing an allegory.
Get prepared to be allegored.
Let's okay. Edgar, we better be able to figure out the allegory.
Yeah, come on.
You said it was going to be here.
And if don't make us feel dumb for not figuring it out if we don't, okay?
Yeah.
That's on you, Edgar.
Yeah, you old dead asshole. Anyway, the gods do bear and well allow in kings the things which they abhor in rascal routs. Buckhurst tragedy of Ferrex and Porrex is what that quote is attributed to.
About 12 o'clock one sultry night, in the month of August, and during the chivalrous reign of the 3rd Edward, 2 seamen belonging to the crew of the Free and Easy, a trading schooner plying between Sluis and the Thames, and then at anchor in that river, were much astonished to find themselves seated in the tap room of an alehouse in the parish of St. Andrews, London, which alehouse bore for sign the portraiture of a Jolly Tar. Jolly Tar being a sailor.
Yeah. The room, it is needless to say, although ill-contrived, smoke-blackened, low-pitched, and in every other respect agreeing with the general character of such places at the period, was nevertheless, in the opinion of the grotesque groups scattered here and there within it, sufficiently well adapted for its purpose. It's a dive bar.
Yeah, it's one of those old pirate taverns.
Yeah.
Of these groups of 2 seamen formed, I think, the most interesting, if not the most conspicuous.
The one who appeared to be the elder, and whom his companion addressed by the characteristic appellation of Legs. So this guy's nickname was Legs.
Fascinating.
Because he had legs.
He had legs.
Was also much the most ill-favored, and at the same time, much the taller of the 2. He might have measured 6 feet 9 inches. Damn.
Ooh. No wonder his name is Leg. He's all leg.
Yeah. And an habitual stoop in the shoulders seemed to have been the necessary consequence of an altitude so enormous. So he's got kind of sunken shoulders because he's so tall.
He's tall with bad posture. Okay.
Yeah.
Superfluities in height were, however, more than accounted for by the deficiencies in other respects. He was exceedingly, woefully, awfully thin, and might, as his associates asserted, have answered, when sober, for a pennant of the masthead, or when stiff with liquor, have served for a jib boom. But these jests, and others of a similar nature, had evidently produced at no time any effect upon the leaden muscles of the tar, with high cheekbones, a large hawk nose, retreating chin, fallen underjaw, and huge protruding white eyes. The expression of his countenance, although tinged with a species of dogged indifference to matters and things in general, was not the less utterly solemn and serious beyond all attempts at imitation or description. We got ourselves some characters here, that's for sure. A character in the Washington sense.
We are describing the shit out of them.
It needs to be known how just bizarre this man is.
The younger seaman was, in all outward appearance, the antipodes?
Antipodes, yeah.
The antipodes of his companion. Not gonna lie to anyone listening.
It's like probably like antithesis, but a more archaic way of saying it.
I'm just not gonna lie to anyone listening. I have no fucking clue what that word is.
I'm using it as context. He is the opposite.
Antipodes are 2 points on Earth that are opposite each other on the surface of the planet. Okay.
Oh!
Now I know a new word. Thanks, Ed.
There you go. Appreciate it.
His stature could not have exceeded 4 feet. A pair of stumpy bow legs supported his squat, unwieldy figure, while his unusually short and thick arms, with no ordinary fists at their extremities, swung off, dangling from his sides like the fins of a sea turtle. Small eyes, of no particular color, twinkled far back in his head. His nose remained buried in the mass of flesh which enveloped his round, full, and purple face, and his thick upper lip rested upon the still thicker one beneath with an air of complacent self-satisfaction, much heightened by the owner's habit of licking them at intervals. He evidently regarded his tall shipmate with a feeling of half-wondrous, half-quizzical, and stared up occasionally in his face as the red-setting sun stares up at the crags of Ben Nevis.
Huh. This guy is short, squat, and weird-looking, too.
Yeah.
Various and eventful, however, had been the Various and eventful, however, have been the peregrinations of the worthy couple in and about the different tap houses of the neighborhood during the earlier hours of the night. Funds, even the most ample, are not always everlasting, and it was with empty pockets our friends had ventured upon the present hostelry. So they're doing a bar crawl.
Yeah, with no money. At the precise period, then, when this history properly commences, Legs and his fellow Hugh Tarpaulin sat each with both elbows resting upon the large oaken table in the middle of the floor, and with a hand upon either cheek. They were eyeing, from behind a huge flagon of unpaid-for humming stuff, the portentous words, "No chalk," which to their indignation and astonishment were scored over the doorway by means of that very identical mineral whose presence they reported to deny. Is Poe writing comedy right now?
I think he might be. This might be his attempt at doing, like, again, Washington Irving-esque humor.
Not that the gift of deciphering written characters, a gift among the commonality of that day, considered little less cabalistical than the art of fuck me, man. Than the art of indicting, could, in strict justice, have been laid to the charge of either disciple of the sea. But there was, to say the truth, a certain twist in the formation of the letters, an indescribable lee-lurch about the whole, which foreboded, in the opinion of both seamen, a long run of dirty weather, and determined them at once, in the pithy words of Legs himself, to pump ship, clew up all sail, and scud before the wind.
Oh, they say no chalk, but there's chalk. This smells bad. Let's get the fuck out of here. Having accordingly drank up what remained of the ale, and looped up the points of their short doublets, they finally made a bolt for the street. Although Tarpaulin rolled twice into the fireplace, mistaking it for the door, yet their escape was at length happily effected, and half after 12 o'clock found our heroes ripe for mischief, and running for life down a dark alley in the direction of St. Andrew's Stair, hotly pursued by the landlord and landlady of the Jolly Tar. Oh, they're dying and dashing.
Oh.
Well, that's a page break.
So, okay. We spent a lot of time describing Legs and other guy?
Hugh Tarpaulin.
Hugh Tarpaulin. They showed up at a dive bar, had their fill, and bolted.
Yep. and they were being chased.
Somewhere in this dive bar, the words "no chalk" are written in chalk.
Where? Oh, how meaningful.
Which is an allegory for what?
Yeah. Maybe we just put a pin in that for now and just keep going, hoping that the allegory will manifest itself later.
We're gonna find. We better find this allegory, Ed.
Where's allegory is like very interesting.
We better find it.
Yep.
Edgar. At the epoch.
Yep, epoch.
Again, so many words in here that I've read and never had to say out loud.
You've got an English major with you. It's okay.
Yeah. At the epoch of this eventful tale, and periodically for many years before and after, all England, but more especially the metropolis, resounded with the fearful cry of "Pest! Pest! Pest!" The city was in a great measure depopulated, and in those horrible regions in the vicinity of the Thames, where amid the dark, narrow, and filthy lanes and alleys, the demon of disease was supposed to have had his nativity, awe, terror, and superstition were alone to be found stalking abroad.
So this area is gross. It's got rats, and the rats carry disease.
Yeah.
Pestilence. Yeah. By authority of the king, such districts were placed under ban and all persons forbidden, under pain of death, to intrude upon their dismal solitude. Yet neither the mandate of the monarch, nor the huge barriers erected at the entrances of the streets, nor the prospect of that loathsome death which, with almost absolute certainty, overwhelmed the wretch whom no peril could deter from this adventure, prevented the unfurnished and untenanted dwellings from being stripped, by the hand of nightly rapine, of every article such as iron, brass, or lead work, which could be in any manner be turned into a profitable account. So areas are quarantined and they're being stripped by looters.
Okay.
I like how we're giving the cliff notes of this after every paragraph.
Yeah, after every paragraph, we have to explain what the fuck we just said.
Yeah, because we're keeping the context in mind. So there's pestilence in the city. Certain areas are quarantined. Are we just actually reading Dishonored? If I think about it,
I think we might be.
Okay. Bethesda.
You'll just have to imagine me shaking my fist at the sky.
I pictured it. I could see it in my mind's a palace.
Spoilers for Dragons, you should play that Indiana Jones game. Anyway.
Yes.
Above all, it was usually found upon the annual winter opening of the barriers that locks, bolts, and secret cellars have proved but slender protection to those rich stores of wines and liquors, which, in consideration of the risk and trouble of removal, many of the numerous dealers having shops in the neighborhood had consented to trust, during the period of exile, to so insufficient a security. So, okay. During the winter, they open the barriers between the pestilence side of town and the regular side of town. And what I'm reading to be basically street vendors go into people's houses and break into their basements and stuff, steal their liquor and resell it.
The impression I'm getting is that people would go back because the disease probably doesn't spread as well in the cold. They think about that. They go in there and they're like, oh shit, our wine and liquor stores were broken into indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have two drunks wandering around. We have this anecdote about plague conditions. I have a feeling we're going to get these two men are so desperate for a drink, they're going to end up in a plague quarter. But there were very few of the terror-stricken people who attributed these doings to the agency of human hands. Pest spirits, plague goblins, and fever demons were the popular imps of mischief, and tales so blood-chilling were hourly told. The whole mass of forbidden buildings was, at length, enveloped in terror as in a shroud, and the plunderer himself was often scared away by the horrors his own depredations had created, leaving the entire vast circuit of unprohibited districts to gloom, silence, pestilence, and death. So rumors of scary things populating these areas make it so people don't go there.
No, I think it's even funnier. So people would return to their homes, find all their shit stolen, and they wouldn't think, oh, we got robbed by people. They'd think, oh, we've been robbed by the plague goblins and the pest spirits and the fever demons. So then people who were going there to rob them stopped because people who were robbed have been saying there's fucking plague goblins.
Oh shit, not plague goblins.
And those people who were essentially the plague goblins are now like, well, we can't go there. There's fucking goblins.
Dude, I don't want to fuck with any goblins. I'm with them. What, fever demons? Dude, don't go places where there are goblins and imps.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Okay, so that's a clever little bit.
Yeah, I'm down. It's working out for me so far. Sure, it's verbose, but it's the writing of the times.
I'm gonna cautiously say I don't hate this.
So far, don't hate it, but we get the setup. I think we know where it might go. We'll see what happens. Is this a horror comedy? Is it going to be a horror comedy?
Would be nice.
I think that'd be pretty sick.
Okay.
But we have a page. Yeah, we have a page break, and I'm invested now.
It was by one of these terrific barriers already mentioned, and which indicated the region beyond to be under the pest ban, that it's in scrambling down an alley, Legs and the worthy Hugh Tarpaulin found their progress suddenly impeded. To return was out of the question, and no time was to be lost, as their pursuers were close upon their heels. With thoroughbred seamen,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been trying so hard to not find the word. Point out the word semen funny. The word semen is funny. The word semen is funny. The word semen is funny. I wasn't going to say anything. For once, we were going to be classy, but you can't say with thoroughbred semen.
No. No, it got me too. Yeah, I think we both sensed it, but no, they had to say thoroughbred.
Yeah.
Semen.
Yep. So we got farther than I think anyone listening to this show for expected us to get.
Yeah, but Ed got us. Old Poe, he got us.
Ed.
I love how we now talk to dead authors like this, mainly because of our relationship with Paul Ernst.
Yeah. This is an allegory for how this show is dumb. Anyway,
so
I also like that I've made that our catchphrase.
That this show is dumb.
This show is dumb.
It was always the unwritten, unspoken part of this show for its, near over 10 years of existence. But
we've embraced it.
No, it's absolutely been embraced at this point.
If you listen long enough, there's some actual analysis in here somewhere. But you got to get through a lot. You got to get through a lot of us laughing at thoroughbred semen to get to. Anyway.
Yes.
With thoroughbred semen to clamber up the roughly fashioned plankwork was a trifle. And, maddened with the twofold excitement of exercise and liquor, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
They leaped unhesitatingly down within the enclosure, and holding on their drunken course with shouts and yellings, were soon bewildered in its noisome and intricate recesses.
Oh, bye. Yep, jump this wall. I mean, that whole paragraph is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, they're drunk and their inhibitions are gone enough that they're like, we're fucking doing it.
Yeah, we don't want to get caught. We're gonna get out of here. Had they not indeed been intoxicated beyond all sense of human feelings, their reeling footsteps must have been palsied by the horrors of their situation. The air was damp, cold, and misty. The paving stones, loosened from their beds, lay in wild disorder amid the tall, rank grass, which sprang up hideously around the feet and ankles. Rubbish of fallen houses choked the streets. The most fetid and poisonous smells everywhere prevailed. And by the occasional aid of that ghastly and uncertain light which, even at midnight, never fails to emanate from a vapory and pestilential atmosphere, might be discerned lying in the bypaths and alleys, or rotting in the windowless habitations, the carcass of many a nocturnal plunderer arrested by the hand of the plague in the very perpetration of his robbery. So there are corpses just lying around. And like phosphorescent, I get the impression they're talking about like phosphorescent light, like almost like swamp gases are showing some of these things.
Yeah. But it lay not in the power of images or sensations or impediments like these to stay the course of men who, naturally brave, and at that time especially, brimful of courage and of humming stuff,
We should refer to alcohol as humming stuff more often.
Yeah. Would have reeled as straight as their condition might have permitted, undauntedly into the very jaws of the Archangel Death. Okay, yeah. Spoilers. Onward, still onward, stalked the gigantic legs, making the desolate solemnity echo and re-echo with yells like the terrific war whoop of the Indian. Damn it.
Look,
if that's as bad as it gets, fine.
Yep.
And onward. Still onward rolled the dumpy tarpaulin, hanging onto the doublet.
Look at the gigantic gams on that guy, and look at the dumpy on tarpaulin.
Damn he thick though.
Damn he thick.
Hanging onto the
thick ass boy.
Colonel, I'm trying to sneak through the plague lands, but I'm dummy thick. And the clap of my ass cheeks.
The clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the landlords of the place we ran away from.
Colonel.
Wario loves garlic.
So onward rolled the dumpy tarpaulin, hanging on to the doublet of his more active companion, and far surpassing the latter's most strenuous exertions in the way of vocal music, by bull-roarings in basso, from the profundity of his stentorian lungs.
They were running like crazy and being like loud fucking weirdos.
The less athletic one is being really loud.
Yeah. They had now evidently reached the stronghold of the pestilence. Their way at every step or plunge grew more noisome and more horrible. The path more narrow and more intricate. Huge stones and beams falling momentarily from the decaying roofs above them gave evidence by their sullen and heavy descent of the vast height of the surrounding buildings. While actual exertion became necessary to force a passage through frequent heaps of putrid human corpses. Now they are freaking out, I hope.
Yeah. Suddenly, as the seamen stumbled against the entrance... Okay. The seamen have to make it into the entrance. That's how the baby is made.
Well, whenever they get back to port, seamen did often make a lot of babies, so...
Suddenly, as the seamen stumbled against the entrance of a gigantic and ghastly-looking building, a yell more than usually shrill from the throat of the excited legs was replied to from within in a rapid succession of wild, laughter-like, and fiendish shrieks.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Ooh. Nothing daunted at sounds which, of such a nature, at such a time, and in such a place, might have curdled the very blood in hearts less irrevocably on fire. The drunken couple burst again upon the panels of the door, and staggered into the midst of things with a volley of curses. It is not to be supposed, however, that the scene which here presented itself to the eyes of the gallant legs and worthy Topolin produced at first sight any other effect upon their illuminated faculties than an overwhelming sensation of stupid astonishment. They just found something weird.
Yeah. The room within which they found themselves proved to be the shop of an undertaker. But an open trapdoor in a corner of the floor near the entrance looked down upon a range of wine cellars, whose depths the occasional sounds of bursting bottles proclaimed to be well stored with their appropriate contents. In the middle of the room stood a table. High table. In the center of which again arose a huge tub of what appeared to be punch. Bottles of various wines and cordials, together with grotesque jugs, pitchers, and flagons of every shape and quality, were scattered profusely upon the board. Around it, upon coffin trestles, was seated a company of 6. This company I will... Poe, you're just going to describe a bunch of people now, huh?
Yep.
Bunch of freaks, probably?
Probably.
Was seated a company of 6. This company I will endeavor to delineate one by one.
Yep. Are you ready for entire paragraphs about these unusual characters that are drinking in an old undertaker's place?
Yep.
I am.
Let's do it.
Fronting the entrance and elevated a little above his companions sat a personage who appeared to be the president of the table. His stature was gaunt and tall, and Legs was confounded to behold in him a figure more emaciated than himself. His face was yellower than the yellowest saffron, but no feature of his visage, excepting one alone, was sufficiently marked to merit a particular description. This one consisted in a forehead so unusually and hideously lofty as to have the appearance of a bonnet or crown of flesh superseded upon the natural head. His mouth was puckered and dimpled into a singular expression of ghastly affability, and his eyes, as indeed the eyes of all at table, were glazed over with the fumes of intoxication. So, a very jaundiced sounding guy.
Yeah. Really jaundiced, with a crown of flesh forehead. On top
I'm having a hard time picturing this, but okay.
Okay. I'm going to wait. This is a Poe story, so I know this has to exist. I'm going to wait till after we have finished the story to Google people's illustrations of these characters.
Yeah, I recognize a few of them. Like, obviously, I feel like I recognize our two leads from the initial image now. Everybody else is still kind of a mystery.
Yeah. This gentleman was clothed from head to foot in a richly embroidered black silk velvet pall, wrapped negligently around his form after the fashion of a Spanish cloak. His head was stuck all full of tall, sable hearse plumes, which he nodded to and fro with a jaunty and knowing air. And in his right hand he held a huge human thigh bone, with which he appeared to have been just knocking down some member of the company for a song.
Is this our King Pest?
I guess so.
Fascinating. I'm pegging it right now, but we'll see. Okay. Opposite him, and with her back to the door, was a lady of no wit, the less extraordinary character. Although quite as tall as the person who had just been described, she had no right to complain of his unnatural emaciation. She was evidently in the last stage of a dropsy, and her figure resembled nearly in outline the shapeless proportions of the huge puncheon of October beer which stood, with the head driven in, close by her side, in a corner of the chamber. Her face was exceedingly round, red, and full, and the same peculiarity, or rather want of peculiarity, attached itself to her countenance, which I before mentioned in the case of the president. That is to say, only one feature of her face was sufficiently distinguished to need a separate characterization. Indeed, the acute tarpaulin immediately observed that the same remark might have applied to each individual person in the party, every one of whom seemed to possess a monopoly of some particular portion of physiognomy. Physiognomy? Yeah,
physiognomy.
Fizzy lifting drinks.
Yeah. So they will not be allowed to own the chocolate factory.
Nope. In fact, they have lost. Good day, sirs and madams. With the lady in question, this portion proved to be the mouth. Commencing at the right ear, it swept with a terrific chasm to the left. The short pendants which she wore in either auricle continued to be bobbing into the aperture. She made, however, every exertion to keep her jaws closed and look dignified, in a dress consisting of a newly stitched and iron shroud coming up close under her chin, with a crimped ruffle of cambric muslin.
Hey Ed, did you just want to describe some freaks?
Yeah. Is this Poe, what's the deal?
If this is going to go on for a long time, it might sour me on this story a little bit.
Yeah. Though weirdly enough, we're halfway through.
Huh. At her right sat a diminutive young lady whom she appeared to patronize. This delicate little creature, in the trembling of her wasted fingers, in the livid hue of her lips, and in the slight hectic spot which tinged her otherwise leaden complexion, gave evident indications of a galloping consumption.
Okay. Are these all embodiments of different diseases?
Like diseases and plagues?
Yeah. Like, they all have some detail of them that's, like, hyper exaggerated, and yeah. An air of extreme haute ton, however, pervaded her whole appearance. She wore, in a graceful and dégagé manner, a large and beautiful winding sheet of the finest India lawn. Her hair hung in ringlets over her neck. A soft smile played over her mouth, but her nose, extremely long, thin, sinuous, flexible, and pimpled, hung down far below her underlip. And in spite of the delicate manner in which she now and then moved it to one side or the other with her tongue, gave an expression rather doubtful of her countenance. These are the plague goblins. These are just plague goblins.
Yeah.
This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
If we just accept that they're plague goblins, this is kind of fun.
Over against her, and upon the left of the dropsicle lady, was seated a little puffy, wheezing, and gouty old man, whose cheeks hung upon the shoulders of their owner, like two huge bladders of Oporto wine. With his arms folded, and with one bandaged leg cocked up against the table, he seemed to think himself entitled to some consideration.
So we got, oh my god, I forgot about that because they mentioned the dropsy, but that's the disease that killed Sir Henry Morgan.
Yeah,
that's why he was so bloated near the end of his life. So we've got consumption, we've got dropsy, we've got jaundice. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know about this guy yet.
Yeah.
Sorry. He evidently prided himself much upon every inch of his personal appearance, but took more especial delight in calling attention to his gaudy colored surcoat. This, to say the truth, must have cost no little money, and was made to fit him exceedingly well, being fashioned from one of the curiously embroidered silken covers, appertaining to those glorious escutcheons, that's right, which in England and elsewhere are customarily hung up in some conspicuous place upon the dwellings of departed aristocracy. So they're all wearing funerary trappings too.
Yeah. Next to him, and at the right hand of the president,
I'm biting my tongue.
Yep, was a gentleman in long white hose and cotton drawers. His frame shook in a ludicrous manner, with a fit of what Tarpaulin called the horrors. His jaws, which had been newly shaved, were tightly tied up by a bandage of muslin, and his arms being fastened in a similar way at the wrists, preventing him from helping himself too freely to the liquors upon the table. A precaution rendered necessary, in the opinion of Legs, by the peculiarly sottish and wine-bibbing cast of his visage. A pair of prodigious ears, nevertheless, which it was no doubt found impossible to confine, so enormous ears, towered away into the atmosphere of the apartment and were occasionally pricked up or depressed, as the sounds of bursting bottles increased or died away in the cellars underneath.
Good gracious.
So Elon Musk at the right hand of... There, I said it, everybody.
Yeah, you said it. Thank you. This does sound like an accurate depiction of Elon Musk. So, fronting him, sixthly and lastly, was situated a singularly stiff-looking personage, who, being afflicted with paralysis, must, to speak seriously, have felt very ill at ease in his unaccommodating habiliments. He was habited, somewhat uniquely, in a new and handsome mahogany coffin.
Sorry, what?
So we got a guy in a coffin.
Okay.
He's just in a coffin. Is he a corpse? I don't think so.
The top or headpiece of the coffin pressed upon the skull of the wearer, and it... Oh, so the coffin's closed?
Unless it's got a... Oh, only the top piece of the coffin. Like, the coffin has two lids. So there's, like, when you have some open casket funerals, like, you can open the top of it, but not there's, like, two lids on the coffin.
Hold on. Let me get through this real quick, because I think it's even sillier than we're imagining.
Okay.
The top or headpiece of the coffin pressed upon the skull of the wearer and extended over it in the fashion of a hood, giving to the entire face an air of indescribable interest. Armholes had been cut in the side for the sake of not more of elegance than of convenience. But the dress, nevertheless, prevented its proprietor from sitting as erect as his associates, and as he lay reclining against his trestle at an angle of 45 degrees, a pair of huge goggle eyes rolled up their awful whites towards the ceiling in absolute amazement at their own enormity.
Big eyes.
Big eyes. He's wearing a coffin that has armholes. Okay.
Is this a, like, they said it's paralysis. Is this like an embodiment of the fear of being buried alive?
Could be.
I mean, these are all huge caricatures. These are just, wow. Okay. Before each of the party lay a portion of a skull, which was used as a drinking cup. Overhead was suspended an enormous human skeleton by means of a rope tied around one of the legs and fastened to a ring in the ceiling. The other limb, confined by no such fetter, stuck off from the body at right angles, causing the whole loose and rattling frame to dangle and twirl about in a singular manner, at the caprice or of every occasional puff of wind which found its way into the apartment. In the cranium of the hideous thing lay a quantity of ignited and glowing charcoal, which threw fitful but vivid light over the entire scene, while coffins and other wares appertaining to the shop of an undertaker were piled high up around the room and against the windows, preventing any straggling ray from escaping into the street. Okay, that's kind of a sick visual. This is some Dance Macabre shit. I like this.
Yeah. I'm coming back around.
Yeah. Don't stick the landing, Edgar, please.
Ed,
you've got us. Keep us.
It has been before hinted that at sight of this extraordinary assembly, and of their still more extraordinary paraphernalia, our two seamen did not conduct themselves with that proper degree of decorum which might have been expected. What degree of decorum is expected in this scenario? Tell me, Ed.
Yeah. Are you saying because they are, in fact, seamen, they would have a certain kind of decorum? What do you do in this case? What would you do, Edgar?
Right.
What would Edgar do?
I didn't check my manners handbook for what I'm supposed to do when I approach the court of mutants. When
I walk into Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. Legs, having leant himself back against the wall, near which he happened to be standing, dropped his lower jaw still lower than usual, and spread open his eyes to their fullest extent, while Hugh Tarpaulin, stooping down so as to bring his nose upon a level with the table, and spreading out a palm upon either knee, burst into a long, loud, and obstreperous roar of very ill-timed and immoderate laughter.
So Tarpaulin thinks this is the funniest, stupidest shit he's ever seen. Huh. Okay.
That's a reaction, to be sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Without, however, taking offense at behaviors so excessively rude, the tall president smiled very graciously upon the intruders, nodding to them in a dignified manner with his head of sable plumes, and, arising, took each by an arm, and led them to a seat, which some others of the company had placed in the meantime of his accommodation. Legs to all of this offered not the slightest resistance, but sat down as he was directed, while the gallant Hugh, removing his coffin trestle from its station near the head of the table, to the vicinity of the little consumptive lady in the winding sheet, plumped down by her side in high glee, and, pouring out a skull of red wine, drank it off to their better acquaintance. But at this presumption, the stiff gentleman in the coffin seemed exceedingly nettled, and serious consequences might have ensued, had not the president, rapping upon the table with his truncheon, diverted the attention of all present to the following speech. It becomes our duty upon the present occasion.
Upon the present happy occasion.
Happy occasion, thank you. This is a happy occasion. I like that Hugh immediately decides to go try and hit on the consumptive lady.
Hell yeah.
Hey, good looking. I like your nose.
How's it going? Avast there, interrupted Legs, looking very serious. Avast there a bit, I say, and tell us who the devil ye all are, and what business ye have here rigged off like the foul fiends, and swilling the snug blue ruins stowed away for the winter by my honest shipmate Will Wimble the Undertaker.
I used to play bass for Will Wimble the Undertaker.
Yeah.
So
shipmate Will Wimble the Undertaker.
How does did they serve together?
Does Legs know the owner of this Undertaker shop?
The one that they just happened to stumble into after running drunkenly into a plague quarter?
I didn't assume this was a setting they were familiar with at all.
Yeah, I was okay.
I thought
sure.
they were. Yeah, I thought they're sailors in a strange land.
Yeah, I was under the impression of that too. I don't. Okay. At this unpardonable piece of ill breeding, all the original company half started to their feet and uttered the same rapid succession of wild, fiendish shrieks which had before caught the attention of the seamen. The president, however, was the first to recover his composure, and at length, turning to Legs with great dignity, recommenced.
Most willingly, we will gratify any reasonable curiosity on the part of guests so illustrious, unbidden though they be. Know then that in these dominions I am monarch, and here rule with undivided empire under the title of King Pest the First. There's an allegory coming.
It's coming. This apartment, which you will no doubt profanely suppose to be the shop of Will Wimble, the undertaker, a man whom we know not, and whose plebeian appellation has never before this night thwarted our royal ears. This apartment, I say, is the dais chamber of our palace, devoted to the councils of our kingdom and to other sacred and lofty purposes.
The noble lady who sits opposite is Queen Pest, and our serene consort. The other exalted personages whom you behold are all of our family, and wear the insignia of the blood royal under the respective titles of His Grace the Archduke Pestiferous, His Grace the Duke Pestilential, His Grace the Duke Tempest, and Her Serene Highness the Archduchess Anna Pest.
Oh my god.
Ed, this is very silly.
This is very silly. I'm enjoying this. As regards, continued he, your demand of the business upon which we sit here in council, we might be pardoned for replying that it concerns and concerns alone our own private and regal interest, and is in no manner important to any other than ourselves. But in consideration of those rights to which, as guests and strangers, you may feel yourselves entitled, we will furthermore explain that we are here this night prepared by deep research and accurate investigation to examine, analyze, and thoroughly determine the indefinable spirit, the incomprehensible qualities, and ne'er of those inestimable treasures of the palate, the wines, ales, and liquors of this goodly metropolis. By so doing, to advance not more our own designs than the true welfare of that unearthly sovereign whose reign is over us all, whose dominions are unlimited, and whose name is death.
I read ahead to one word, and here we go.
Yeah?
Whose name is Davy Jones! Ejaculated Tarpaulin.
Ejaculated Tarpaulin, the seaman.
The seaman ejaculated. Whose name is Davy Jones! Ejaculated Tarpaulin, helping the lady by his side to a skull of liqueur, and pouring out a second for himself.
Oh my gosh. This is so bizarre, and I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah.
Profane varlet, said the president, now turning his attention to the worthy Hugh. Profane and execrable wretch! We have said that in consideration of those rights which, even in thy filthy person, we feel no inclination to violate, we have condescended to make reply to your rude and unseasonable inquiries. We, nevertheless, for your unhallowed intrusion upon our council, believe it our duty to mulct you and your companion in each a gallon of blackstrap, having drank which, to the prosperity of our kingdom, at a single draught, and upon your bended knees, you shall be forthwith free either to proceed upon your way, or remain and be admitted to the privilege of our table according to your respective and individual pleasures. Whew!
It would be a matter of utter impossibility, replied Legs, whom the assumptions and dignity of King Pest I had evidently inspired with some feelings of respect, and who arose and steadied himself by the table as he spoke. It would, please your majesty, be a matter of utter impossibility to stow away in my hold even 1/4 of that same liquor which your majesty has just mentioned, to say nothing of the stuffs placed on board in the forenoon by way of ballast, and not to mention the various ales and liqueurs shipped this evening at different seaports. I am, at present, full up to the throat of humming stuff taken in and duly paid for at the sign of the Jolly Tar. You will therefore, please your majesty, be so good as to take the will for the deed. For by no manner of means either can I or will I swallow another drop, least of all a drop of that villainous bilgewater that answers to the hail of blackstrap.
Okay. So they're offering them more drinks despite them being rude.
Thanks for offering me drinks. I'm so goddamn drunk already. And
I feel like I'm imagining all of this.
And this is all real fucked up. And I'm not drinking what you're offering because look at it. Look at you.
Were you like this before you started drinking? Is this the ooze? Are you drinking the ooze? If I drink the ooze, will I also become a mutant? Belay that. interrupted Tarpaulin, astonished not more at the length of his companion's speech than at the nature of his refusal. Belay that, you lubber, and I say, Legs, none of your palaver. My hull is still light, although I confess you yourself seem to be a little top-heavy. And as for the matter of your share of the cargo, why, rather than raise a squall, I would find stowage room for it myself, but...
And so this is Tarpaulin being like, hey, speak for yourself, fucking lightweight.
Listen, I'm drunk, I want more, and I'm sitting next to this hot nose lady. She seems into me.
I used to play bass for Hot Nose Lady. This proceeding, interposed the president, is by no means in accordance with the terms of the mulct. Fuck that word. Or sentence, which is in its nature median, and not to be altered or recalled. The conditions we have imposed must be fulfilled to the letter, and that without a moment's hesitation, and failure of which fulfillment we decree, that you do here be tied neck and heels together, and duly drowned as rebels, in yon hogshead of October beer.
Okay, so they either have to immediately be on their way or both agree to drink, or else they're going to be drowned?
I guess.
I've lost the plot a little bit. A sentence, a righteous and just sentence, a glorious decree, a most worthy and upright and unholy condemnation, shouted the Pest family together. The king elevated his forehead into innumerable wrinkles. The gouty little old man puffed like a pair of bellows. The lady of the winding sheet waved her nose to and fro. The gentleman in the cotton drawers pricked up his ears. She of the shroud gasped like a dying fish, and he of the coffin looked stiff and rolled up his eyes.
Chuckled. Wait, what? Chuckled Tarpaulin without heeding the general excitation. This is laughing. I'm laughing.
It actually says that. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a nightmare to read, everybody.
Yeah.
I was saying, said he. I was saying when Mr. King Pest spoke in his marling spike, that as for the matter of 2 or 3 gallons more or less blackstrap, it was a trifle to a tight seaboat like myself not overstowed. When it comes to drinking the health of the devil, whom God... Fuck that word.
A swalesy? A swalesy?
Fuck that word so hard.
Okay.
Hang on.
Off to Google.
A soilsy means to absolve, set free, or atone for. It is a Scottish variant of the word assoil.
Okay.
Sure. It's a bullshit word, man.
Yeah, kind of.
Whom God assoilsy, and going down upon my marrow bones to his ill-favored majesty there, whom I know, as well as I know myself, to be a sinner, to be nobody in the world but Tim Hurlygurly, the organ grinder. Why? It's quite another guess sort of a thing, and utterly and altogether past my comprehension. Ed, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, what is happening? I was saying when Mr. King Pest spoke to his marling spike, as for the matter, it was a trifle when it comes to drinking to the health of the dead. I don't know what it lost me there. I'm lost.
Who is
like
Tim?
You would rather?
Who is Tim Hurlygurly? Am I supposed to know who Tim Hurlygurly is?
I don't have. He's an organ grinder, apparently. All
right, Ed, this is spiraling out of control.
Yeah, Ed, when did you write this? Because he was not allowed to finish this speech in tranquility. At the name of Tim Hurlygurly, the whole junto leaped from their seats. Apparently,
yeah, me too. Really what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, they really hate Tim Hurlygurly.
Treason! Shouted his Serenity King Pest the First.
Treason! Said the little man with the gout.
Treason! Screamed the Archduchess Anna Pest.
Treason! Muttered the gentleman with his jaw tied up. Or more like, treason!
Treason! Growled he of the coffin. Coffee. I was looking at my coffee mug. I was looking at my coffee mug while I glanced at my coffee mug while I was reading.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here. Treason! Treason, shrieked Her Majesty of the Mouth, and seizing by the hinder part of his breeches the unfortunate tarpaulin, who had just commenced pouring out for himself a skull of liqueur, she lifted him high up in the air and dropped him without ceremony into the huge open puncheon of his beloved ale, bobbing up and down for a few seconds like an apple in a bowl of toddy. He at length finally disappeared amid the whirlpool of foam which, in the already effervescent liquor, his struggles easily succeeded in creating.
Hey,
okay.
I have news for everyone listening. If we're expecting to get like a ton of answers for everything that just happened, we have arrived at the final paragraph of the story.
Oh, yeah, this is a long one. Long paragraph. Okay, you ready?
Let's Ed, this paragraph needs to answer so many questions.
Please, I don't think it's gonna, though.
Not tamely, however, did the tall seaman behold the discomfiture of his companion. Jostling King Pest through the open trap, the valiant Legs slammed the door down upon him with an oath, and strode towards the center of the room. Here, tearing down the huge skeleton which swung over the table, he laid it about him with so much energy and goodwill that, as the last glimpses of light died away within the apartment, he succeeded in... Jesus!
Oh.
He succeeded in knocking out the brains of the little gentleman with the gout.
Oh, man.
Rushing then with all his force against the fatal hogshead full of October ale and Hugh tarpaulin, he rolled it over and over in an instant. Out burst a deluge of liquor so fierce, so impetuous, so overwhelming, that the room was flooded from wall to wall. The loaded table was overturned, the trestles were thrown upon their backs, the tub of punch into the fireplace, and the ladies into hysterics. Jugs, pitchers, and carboys mingled promiscuously in the melee, and wicker flagons encountered desperately with bottles of junk. Piles of death furniture floundered about. They are in an undertaker's place.
There's a deathbed. The bed that eats.
Death furniture. Skulls floated en masse. Hearse plumes nodded to escutcheons. Escutcheons?
Yeah, escutcheons.
The man with the horrors was drowned upon the spot. The little stiff gentleman sailed off in his coffin. And the victorious Legs, seizing by the waist the fat lady in the shroud, scudded out into the street followed under easy sail by the redoubtable Hugh Tarpaulin, who, having sneezed 3 or 4 times, panted and puffed after him with the Archduchess Pest. Okay. Yep, I get why this is in the F tier.
Yep, me too. 1835 was when this was published.
So, our resolution to King Pest apparently being an organ grinder named Tim Hurley-Gurley, which apparently everyone did not like. What our 2 sailors then basically killed everybody except for the 2 women who they kidnapped.
Yeah, they just ran off with these 2. So weird.
Which is what is portrayed in the attached image for this story.
Yeah, which is going, if you're here with the YouTube version, this is probably going to be the background. I don't know what just happened. I don't think
there's some touches of writing in this that I liked. Some of the descriptive stuff felt like it was really masturbatory, if I'm being honest.
And not just because a seaman ejaculated.
Yeah, but what the fuck just happened?
The allegory has been completely lost to me, mainly in the dialogue. I thought this might have been an allegory for I don't know. These 2 straight up just drunkenly murdered some people, flooded a place with wine, and kidnapped 2 grotesque women. And there's no resolution to any of that.
This feels like I was writing a school paper, and I was like, all right, I've got a lot of this written already. When's it due? Today. Oh, shit! Everyone drowns in alcohol, and they kidnap the ladies, and then it's over. Bye.
I do like, again, not even quite understanding the visual descriptions of these weird characters. Kind of dig it. I like the Coffin Man in particular. But good God, did this we just get lost in the fucking weeds? I will.
I'd maybe put
I
it
will
in.
give this a.
I'd maybe put it in D tier, or I don't know. I'm torn.
I mean, listen, we're gonna have to compare it to the other three now, though. That's the thing. When we get around to it, we're gonna have to compare it to the other three, and when we get there, we need to maybe hold them against themselves as much as each other. I don't know. Like, what's the best of the worst? I guess, or I don't know. Like, there was some merits to some of this, but then I just what?
It absolutely did not. It absolutely did not stick the landing.
No, it did not. It fell on its face and died. So in that sense, I will give this a freshness rating of the stalest of ale.
Yeah. I'm going to favorite this tier list.
Excellent.
Bookmark it so we can come back to it eventually.
We are off to the race. You know what? I genuinely appreciate that so many of these exist and that we're doing so much feeling like classic literature.
Yeah.
But because
I did that because there are 3 more stories in the F tier.
Oh boy.
I am not telling David what any of the remaining stories are.
Nor will I look into it any further. I would like it to be a surprise. So you can go, hopefully y'all will come in as blind as the rest of us. So
I'm soul searching, and like some aspects of the story have me wanting to move it up into D tier, but then my brain just keeps going back to that ending, and I think I agree. I agree with this list.
There's no real payoff. Who the fuck is Tim Hurley-Gurley?
Who the fuck is Tim Hurley-Gurley?
This is like is this? Can we pace this around very much like who is John Galt? Who is Tim Hurley-Gurley? Oh, man. Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of Undercooked Analysis. This is going to be fun. Do some classic literature by our boy Edgar. If you liked what you heard, please consider, leaving a comment, a review, maybe liking or subscribing, wherever you listen to this. That's always helpful. We do this for fun, not a lot of polish, just the joy of reading something and getting a gut reaction to it. Something horror adjacent, in this case, very silly horror. If there was an allegory there, I've completely missed it. Like a lot of other things.
Maybe we're stupid, but I don't.
I wanted to be the Cliff Notes version of this story so bad, and I may have to give it another pass at some point just to try and figure it out. But in the meantime, if you want to hear some of the other stuff we do, you can listen to all of our fine podcasts on the Creative Horror Network at creativehorror.com or on our YouTube channel. We have pretty much all of them there as well. If you want to support this show for a little bit extra, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/creative horror. Putting in a little every month will get you access to our choice dregs, as well as other fun segments from the past 10-ish years that this and its subsidiary podcasts have been around. I say subsidiary because this started as a subsidiary to another podcast, and now it is the main podcast that I do. Sad as that is. I would like to once again thank Alan for pitching this concept.
No problem. I'm a little mad at myself.
Now we have to continue. So, So here's the thing: you got to get thy beak from out my heart, and get thee from my chamber door.
Okay, is this you telling me to leave, or?
Yeah, that's. I really expected more resistance than that, but I do appreciate that you're willing to just exit the premises.
I gave it some thought.
Yeah,
and if I'm being honest. Nevermore.
Good evening, intrepid listeners. This is the Pasta Shade, the host of Midnight Marinara, and this podcast is part of CreativeHorror.com, a network of podcasts and creators working together to build a constructive community of horror fans. For more content like this, visit us at CreativeHorror.com.